Should Mamdani win, he would become the first Muslim mayor of New York. Analysts predict Jewish groups will rally against him in the general election.
Mamdani will create a Jewish vote, but it will not be a very singular and ideology Jewish vote. Younger people really don't care about the state of Israel. If you look at the data, younger Jews, they're more concerned about lifestyle issues.
I am Donald Trump's worst nightmare as a progressive Muslim immigrant who actually fights for the things that I believe in.
His win, a sign of Democratic voters' disillusionment with party establishment as they search for an alternative to Donald Trump.
And out east, a political earthquake of sorts last night in New York City as State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani surged to a commanding lead in the Democratic primary for mayor.
That's right. Many observers had predicted an easy win for disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Instead, he came in a distant second.
آژانس بین المللی انرژی اتمی نیز که حتی حاضر نشد در ظاهر هم که شده حمله به تأسیسات هسته‌ای ایران را محکوم کند، اعتبار بین المللی خود را به حراج گذاشت و به همین دلیل سازمان انرژی اتمی ایران تا تضمین امنیت تأسیسات هسته‌ای همکاری خود با آژانس را تعلیق می‌کند و برنامه صلح‌آمیز هسته‌ای ایران با سرعت بیشتری به پیش خواهد رفت.
Friends!
Zohran Mamdani entered the New York mayoral race as a relatively unknown state lawmaker. His victory in the Democratic primary, a huge shock to the party establishment.
Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done.
The 33-year-old Democratic Socialist platform tapped into voters' concerns about the high cost of living in New York, but he also criticized Israel.
Would Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No, as mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu.
And stood up for Palestinian rights, his language angering powerful Jewish groups.
On the Republican side, Curtis Sliwa, who ran unopposed, outlined his vision for the next 4 years.
Ever since we went back to the trifecta of Democrats, de Blasio, Cuomo, Adams, we've had corruption and chaos. It's time to return back on track to where we have peace.
Mayor Adams, who was running as an independent in November, chimed in on the preliminary results, posting in part on X, "What New York City deserves is a mayor who's proud to run on his record, not one who ran from his record or one who has no record." And both Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed Mamdani during the primaries and congratulated him last night.
Well, the US has destroyed Iran's nuclear facility, and the president has been clear for a very long time that Iran cannot hold a nuclear weapon. But according to MSNBC, when Iran chants death to America, oh, well, they don't really mean it.
Why is it a foundational issue for Trump that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon? Why is this something that the U.S. should be involved in? Why are we allied with Israel?
He says because they chant death to America.
They chant death to America. I went to Iran in 2014. I was sitting at a rally. These young guys were chanting death to America. I had a minder. I said, what are they saying? They're saying death to America. They finished the chant, and two young men came over and said, are you American? I said, yes. We want to welcome you to our country. We love American culture and love American movies. They wanted to talk about all these things. Iran is the most Western nation in the whole Middle East.
And Margaret Brennan, host of CBS News' Face the Nation, had to be reminded by Marco Rubio of why Iran could not hold nuclear weapons, and the fact that the regime had everything they needed to was enough to justify the strike.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have everything they need to build a weapon.
That is the key point in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons.
Marco Rubio reminding CBS of what is relevant. But the New York Times, well, they might deserve some credit here. Let me know what you think. New York Times has been covering the most critical parts of America's historic strike on Iran's nuclear sites, reporting on Pete Hegseth's briefing. The New York Times journalist wrote, in the briefing, Hegseth referred to B-2 pilots as our boys on those bombers, yet both men and women have been trained to fly them. Well done, New York Times. Excellent point that both men and women can fly planes. But it was LA Sheriff's Department's post that really takes the cake. The LA Sheriff's Department posted condolences to families in Iran who were, quote, impacted by Iran's nuclear sites getting blown up. In a shared post, they say, our hearts go out to the victims and the families impacted by the recent bombing in Iran, the bombing that did not hurt anyone. This post has now been edited and deleting the condolences. And then there's the hosts of The View. Joy Behar seriously questioned why Donald Trump didn't tell the Iranians he was going to bomb their nuclear sites.
Did he keep it a secret for the surprise? The surprise version?
I mean, absolutely, the diversion, and you saw the way that all indications were the B-2s were flying towards Guam. Everybody thought, okay, so we're getting in position to be ready. They wanted to have some element of surprise. Let's face it, there wasn't really much element of surprise. I mean, this had been in the works for a long time, but to have the final moment to be a surprise.